Hey out there. My name is Brandon Parnell, and I'm the Director of Entertainment here at the Flora-Bama Lounge and Package. We're coming to you today with an artist spotlight, and our artist this week is Mel Knapp, the one and only Mel Knapp. To be honest with you, if it weren't for Mel, I wouldn't be doing what I do here at the Flora-Bama. I was lucky enough to meet Mel on a gig down here. And Mel, do you remember that gig?
I do. It was Halloween, 5-6 years ago.
Yep.
And Brandon's like, man, I need to play with you. It's like, I'm a really good rhythm guitar player. We would be a great fit. And I was like, well, that's pretty confident. Show me. And man, he sure did. I mean, it was spot on. We had a great night, a lot of fun, and that's kind of where it started, right?
It was, man. And you ended up bringing me out here. I remember one night that we performed with Rhonda Hart on stage in the main room, with Mike Lachlan as well. And I remember thinking to myself, man, this is the place where real magic happens. And if it wouldn't have been for that introduction, there is no doubt that I wouldn't be doing what I do here. So thank you, buddy. I appreciate it, man. Tremendously.
Thank you. You helped me as well.
I remember thinking that night, I was like, man, this guy is honestly one of the best musicians that I've ever seen and definitely ever played with. And then, had the luxury of seeing you at many other gigs outside of that, and then realized that you were certainly not a one-trick pony. You play a lot of instruments, a lot of stringed instruments well. Tell us what all you're capable of playing, Mello.
Well, obviously guitar. I like to play mandolin. Mandolin's a fun instrument. Been loving to play the ukulele. I keep one in my trunk of my car just because it's real portable and you just break it out anywhere. I'm not the best at slide and banjo. I messed around with a little dulcimer every now and again.
If it's got strings on it, you play
Yeah,
it.
that's usually it. If it's got upright, I love an upright bass. Anything with strings, I can usually find my way around somewhat, or
So,
I fake it till I make it.
Having said that, what would you say that you consider yourself if you had to be a specific instrumentalist? What would you consider yourself?
You know what that is.
You'd be a bassist.
I'm a bass player.
You're one of the baddest bassists I've ever seen in my life, man.
I love playing the bass.
Truly exceptional. We're very, very lucky to have Mel in all of our outlets doing what he does. There's no telling where you're going to see Mel or what you're going to see him doing. The guy is in a full band format with a bass sometimes. Sometimes he's playing lead guitar. Sometimes he's all by himself playing a solo show that's truly astonishing. And you can catch him at any of our Flora-Bama properties pretty frequently. One of the things that I want to talk to Mel about today, because of his skill set, he has played with quite a few bands, still plays with quite a few bands. And Mel, I want you to elaborate on kind of how you got your start with regard to full band format, when that was, and then bring us up to today.
All right. I guess I moved here around '05 and started playing with the Foxy Iguanas. And shout out to Smokey Otis.
Smokey Otis.
Smokey and Squeak. They kind of just, I met them at Papa Rocco's, and they had a keyboard player that was trying to play bass and keys at the same time.
The old left-hand trick.
Yeah, and I honestly felt, I was like, I think I can help these guys. I was like, I know you guys don't know me, but if you line me up a bass tomorrow, and I'll be glad to play with you. And if I suck after the first song, hey, just kick me off. And that's how it started. And I got a call from their manager about 2 weeks. I was still playing in Tuscaloosa at that time. And their manager called me up and offered me a job 5 nights a week. And the drummer said I could stay with him. And I played, that was Foxy Iguanas, and I did that for, I don't know, at least 3 or 4 years. And I met Jason Justice and started playing with the Hung Jury. Then there was a Jay Williams band period there. Yeah, Kyle Parker band little period. And presently it's Famous Nameless.
Great act.
Yeah, playing with them.
You and Mason Henderson, Chris Beverly, and Larry Beverly.
Yeah, that's been going good. I'm sure there's probably a good bit of bands, but those have been the ones that I've played a good portion of time with. And love all those guys too.
Great musicians that Mel plays with, and all the acts that we just mentioned you can catch here at the Flora-Bama as well. Phenomenal shows and performances that they put on, but Mel doesn't like me to brag, but he's certainly the centerpiece of all those, and in that he's kind of the glue that holds things together. Mel, you're from Demopolis, Alabama. Is that right? D-Mop?
D-Mop in the house.
Demopolis, Alabama. And I'm assuming that's how you met the musicians in Tuscaloosa, because of the vicinity to Demopolis.
Yes, one of my first bands, their name was Dork Sheboygan.
Dork Sheboygan. I was surprised it didn't stick.
And that was Stephen Davis, and he actually made me a really good bass player. Me and him after school would go sit in his basement and just literally kind of compete. He would do a roll on the drums and I would try to compete with that. And our heroes at that particular time were Victor Wooten, bass player.
Vic Wooten.
And Carter Beauford.
Carter Beauford from Dave
Matthews
Matthews Band,
yes.
drummer, yeah.
And then so after graduation, I went to Orlando and got my degree there. And then I came back and stayed in Demopolis and got up with those guys, and we started a band in Turkish Delight with Stephen Davis and Shep Nolan, Brian McManus, and but yeah, that's how that happened as far as the Tuscaloosa Demopolis thing.
Which eventually led you to Smokey and the Foxy.
Yep, I saved up a little bit of fun money, and I was like, I'm going to the beach, and that's how I met Smokey at Papa Rocco's.
And you're still here, and that's been what, 15 years?
Since 05, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, and I've been very...
It's hard to leave here, man.
I have to mention that I've just been very, very blessed. There's a lot of talented musicians that don't get to make a comfortable living like I do. So I really am very blessed.
You're right.
Thanks to Flora-Bama has definitely been one of them too.
We are very blessed in this part of the world. I would say in this geography, we have the greatest concentration of exceptional musicians that I've seen in my entire life, and the caliber of musician that lives here is just unbelievable, and we're very, very lucky to have a lot of them on stage, and obviously you're certainly one of those guys, Mel, and we're very grateful for you. One of the things that I wanted to talk about with you today, because I know it's near and dear to your heart, and it's near and dear to the Bama's heart, and in particular John McGinnis, who has a lot of ongoings down in the islands with St. John. I know that you've been down there, you performed down there. Can you kind of just give us a little bit of commentary in regards to what you've done down there, what you have lined up, and what your thoughts are in general with regard to the music scene down there?
I love the people there. That place, St. John, has a piece of my heart, always will. The Flora-Bama, I remember you called me one day and was like, hey, by the way, you won a vacation, 5 days, all expenses paid. It's the way of Flora-Bama saying thank you. And I was like, haha. It's like, no, you got your passport because you're going. And even though you don't need it for St. John, but y'all treated us to a little island hopping thing. And but that's how I first visited St. John. And of course, from the get-go, that place just, it grabbed me. And then unfortunately, they had the two hurricanes that, did
Irma and Maria.
Yep, did a lot of damage. And so really all I did, John, I saw him a little bit after that happened, and he said, you realize I'm kind of heading Love for Love City for Kenny. And he's like, I know that you know a lot of the locals there, and he's like, let's help, And so all I did was get with a lot of my friends, and I still get a little emotional about it, but it was an amazing thing that it just shows you just the power of human decency.
Yep.
And all I did was make a list, and I sent it to John and Kenny's publicist, and they literally, I think the very next day, loaded up two whatever planes and flew it all down there. And then from that moment, we were back and forth, and anything that I gave the list to John and Kenny's publicist, they made it happen. And then one of the coolest parts was a man named Dennison Blackett reached out to me, and he had heard about all the help that the Bama and Kenny's been doing. He said, look, there's a school, the St. John's School of Arts, and all these kids lost all their instruments.
Yep.
And he said, is there anything you can do? And I immediately, of course, got with John. He said, make a list. And some of these are a lot of instruments that are West Indies based, stuff. I don't know if I'm
not
saying
easy
that.
to acquire.
Yeah, stuff I couldn't even pronounce, had no clue what they were. And originally we were going to use the Bama as a donation spot, because all these musicians, like I'm one of them, have instruments I don't even play.
Sure.
But no, John and Kenny were particular about, they wanted to get all new stuff. And one of the coolest moments was we got all these kids new instruments, and then I saw the video of Kenny, giving all these kids new instruments, the smile on their faces, the tears of joy from their parents
Saw
and the
that video.
teachers.
It's unbelievable, man.
And that was just really cool. So definitely thanks to, I mean, I've never met Kenny personally, but I know he doesn't know me personally, but I would give him a hug and just say thanks for helping a lot of my friends, and John McGinnis as well. And I didn't really do that much, you know. They really did so much, so it was just such a beautiful thing.
Thank you for your contributions down there, and I'm sure that there are a few more chapters to still unfold in that book.
I went about 2 months ago, and I would say they're about 90% back. And then I did the Jam Fest, the first
Cruise
annual.
Bay, I saw that.
Yep, Cruise Bay Music, shout out, love you, Christy. And they ever since then, I guess I've been around 8 or 9 times since the first trip, and everybody just helps each other. It's a very small island. I love it for the fact that usually when you find yourself in a small environment, you know, you got kind of some little divisions there, you know, small town drama, you know.
Factions, yeah.
Yes, there's none of that there. It's just awesome.
One big community.
Yes, and everybody helps each other. I just love that. And but yes, I'm gonna go back in March for the second Jam Fest, and also I want to, if this gets back to Aaron Hart, I want to say thanks to Aaron Hart, because Aaron and Kenny also did a lot of stuff together.
Nice.
While because she lives there, she's a musician, and she has a lot of passion for that place as well. So she's done a lot of great things. But it's just been, they're about, I'd say 90%, and I'm hoping they just dodged another bullet.
Yeah, they did.
And
a big one in that.
Yes.
Dorian was a monster coming right at him.
Yeah.
Obviously, the northern aspect of the Bahamas didn't fare that well.
And this time last year, I was in
Freeport.
Freeport, and and they're great people. So, you know, on that subject, it's like, of course they need help, but even Mexico Beach, I mean, we still got a lot of stuff from Michael.
There's a long way to go, man.
A lot of help is needed, so help your neighbor.
Yeah, help your neighbor, I think, is a common theme. And speaking of that, I said it earlier, in terms of helping your neighbor, this guy helped his neighbor and me. If it weren't for Mel, I wouldn't be doing what I do here. I'm very grateful to you, man.
Thank you.
I love this place. The Bama is a special entity, and we are certainly very lucky to have musicians like Mel Knapp. Thank you for coming today. We appreciate you tremendously. Thank you guys for joining us on the Artist Spotlight with Mel Knapp. Adios. Talk to you soon.